When I talk about like doing something that you're so passionate about and that makes you excited, that's all I want to do. Everything else is just coming off the list. Everything else, whatever, if it doesn't make me as excited as this, it's just coming off the list.
If I were to ask you what is your purpose, how do you answer that?
I would say it is to...
Welcome to the Adriana Ostapenko podcast. I started this channel because when I started investing in real estate, I knew nothing about investing, and it has absolutely changed our lives. So if I can educate, give you information, tips, and inspire you to do the same. So I love the idea that you talked about the homes having SDUs, and because that's massive. If somebody needs to buy a house with price of housing now, you said it helps them qualify because if you can get a tenant in there, it also allows them to run their business from home. I love that. That's so practical, and people need that.
Yeah, even designing a home for multi-generational, you know, that's, I mean, people know of it, but it's not really a concept that a lot of people are integrating. Some things, like you said, an SDU, it's crazy to think about. We talked to people in Pembroke, builders, and they were like, what's an SDU?
Oh my gosh.
And we're like, really? Like, you know, it's surprising because they are builders, but they are used to building their model. They're used to building exactly their cookie cutter style. That's usually for tract builders or people who do it at a large scale. They have their specific models and that's what they build. So they're not going to go and change that. A lot of these guys are 60, 70 years old, and they have no interest in changing.
They have a model that works. They're just going to rinse and repeat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you need fresh voices.
They know what it's going to cost them. They know exactly all of the numbers. So it is very difficult. But now it's the thought, the idea of like, how can we, even for them, make it more feasible for them to create some of this style of housing that you know the area is growing and they're going to need. So anyway, I could go on forever. Literally. So this, for me, when I talk about like doing something that you're so passionate about and that makes you excited, that's all I want to do. Everything else is just coming off the list. Everything else, whatever, if it doesn't make me as excited as this, it's just coming off the list. And then I feel like when you stay in this space, you just grow. Like you just grow. It's impossible not to grow. And that's it. That's my whole model for 2024. That's it.
Like speaking to my heart and like my language here. I think the difference is I don't have the clarity that you have. So I'm like in a searching process. I realize that I love to have something really exciting. Like I'm doing lots of things and they're going well.
Yeah.
Like the conversation we just had before we started recording, I feel like there's a new level or a new passion that's coming. I know it's coming. I just don't know quite what it is yet.
So you feel like you haven't quite hit that thing that
I've hit it many times in the past. So I have because you have things that you're like, oh, yes, and then you're like excited and you go and you do it, and then you've done it. Now it's like, you know, next kind of thing. Nothing wrong with that. We have milestones. I've reached many milestones in my life of things that I'm like, when I switched from not doing real estate to doing real estate, that was a huge passion, like drive. It changed our lives. And then I switched from like smaller multifamily to larger multifamily. Huge passion, quick scale, things moved so fast, so much growth in such a short period of time. So I'm just ready for the next thing that's exciting, that would be that kind of exciting.
You know what's like one thing I feel, because you and I talk to a lot of people.
Yes.
You meet so many people, I meet a ton of people. I do have the blessing that people do approach me because they see that I can help them with something. Just my nature from the land development course, or me being on stage and talking about the things that I'm passionate about. So I get those conversations, you know, that people are like, I want to do something like that, or I want to be as passionate as you, or I want to have something like that, or how can I be part of it? But I think what really people are saying when they say those things, I think they're really thinking about, I want purpose.
Yes.
I want to feel like I have a purpose, because they see, when you see somebody has a purpose in life, it's evident.
Yeah.
And a lot when you don't have it, you notice it more when somebody does have it.
Yes.
And you're like, I want that. What is that one thing?
Yes.
And they're thinking, I want land
it's
development.
So exciting, you want to be part of it.
Or I want real estate because you're doing real estate, I can see it. But in reality, when you really drill down, it's the purpose.
It's very individual too, really. Like, it's so individual.
Oh, it is. Yeah. It's all part of where you are, how you're growing, where you're going, what your vision is for your life. It's completely individual thing. But I think figuring that out, and it's hard to say that because it's difficult to find your purpose. Like,
so, but the question's throwing me off a little bit, I guess, because if I were to ask you what is your purpose, how do you answer that?
I would say it is to create more connection with humans. Like, at the end of the day, everything that I'm doing here is because I don't want my kids' generations and their generations to feel like they don't have the close knit family that I did, because I feel like I'm constantly craving that. And the reason for that is because when you have people around you, when you have people that actually love you and care about you, you cannot be unhappy. You cannot want to, do things that are
loved and supported and heard, and like somebody's got your back. Like, that makes a massive difference.
And then what ends up happening is you have to be happy in order for you to create.
Yes.
You cannot, like an artist, for example, a painter, let's say, or somebody who does art, or somebody even who writes music. It would be very difficult to write or create a beautiful piece when inside you're in darkness. You cannot. It is very difficult. If you've ever been in an area where you feel so sad or you feel depressed, it's very difficult to create. So the whole purpose is to create people or create communities, create a lifestyle. It really is about lifestyle, where we now go back to the basics and connect each other more so that we support each other more. And by supporting others, they become happy and they're able to create. The whole purpose to create is to grow and to create more business, more things that make people happy, think outside the box, do more good, and then it becomes even more and more exponential. But it's the one piece. It's the one piece that it all begins at the bottom to stack everything else on top. That is like huge. It's huge. It's monumental. And if you do that from generation to generation to generation, when you get to a point where you're like, I've been so successful, I've been so blessed, I just want to give. That's all I want to do, because you do end up going there. At some point when you feel like I've done so much, I've been so blessed, I just want to give more. And now see how it becomes a full cycle?
Yes.
That's the whole purpose of it. And I think that's
so. How long would you say you have known that that's your purpose?
Oh, that's a good question. Not that long. I think maybe in the last 2 years.
I love that.
Of really just going through the process of development, land development, real estate, teaching others. And funny enough, it was through teaching others that I learned this whole idea. Because the thing is that in land development, most people want to get into it because they want money or they want to make money.
Yes.
So, or most people get into real estate because they want to create wealth, which is absolutely 100% something that everybody makes sense to do, and you should do it if you want to do that. There's nothing wrong with that, and I've done it myself, so I want others to have the same success, of course, as well.
The whole concept of the virtual agency I was talking to you about, not feeling the desire of having like an office or something, going back to that conversation. And this is why I loved when you're like, hey, have a space for people to work from home, because I feel like I'm one of those. I enjoy, lots of people complain about it, but I quite enjoy working from home.
Me too.
I don't know.
Me too.
I'm just in my environment. So, what was I going to say? So the whole concept with the virtual agency is how do we bring people together? And they're not physically together. So it's a different challenge in so many ways.
That's true.
But how do we bring people together that can really be from anywhere? I have built really strong partnerships, relationships with people I've never met in person. So I feel like it's a similar connecting the dots, similar like purpose there, but in a different way, with a different challenge of not being physically close. I also told you, like, my whole family has lived so far away from me for so long, and not having that proximity, or even during COVID, I'm like, my life changed. Lots of people's lives changed during COVID. A huge part of that was starting to use technology to connect with people. I made like really good partnerships, friends, all 100% online, still giving them a lot of time and attention, but virtually.
Yeah. And that's the whole beauty of it now, because you can have the luxury to go anywhere and make a living. You can be at home and make a really good living from just working and doing something that you love from home. So why not?
The impact they can generate, because my business partner with the virtual agency, she lives in BC. Kendra, who does my video editing, lives in Alberta. My admin, she manages all of our portfolio. I've never met her in person just yet. We're meeting at Expand. She's coming to Expand.
No way.
She lives in Stratford, Ontario. So being able to bring people together that can donate their gifts and contribute without having the geographical limitations of having to be in the same space. But it does generate, you are working from home, you can get really lonely at the end of the day, right? It does have that impact. So part of our mission with Turnkey, how do we make it feel that we're still connected and we're still all a team, even though we're individually working at our own locations? And that's a challenge that we're tackling straight on. What does it look like to physiologically, emotionally still feel connected and feel like you have a team, even though you're online?
And what do you think is the answer?
The answer?
Yeah.
I personally, like I said, I've created close relationships with people without ever meeting, emotional connections, right? 2 partnerships that we have businesses together without meeting them first. So I do believe it's just the time they give them. I personally like Zoom. So I operate with my team 100% or 95% over Zoom. And the reason is I get to see them. Yeah. That's it. Because we're still obviously it's not this. This is even more powerful, but it still feels like a conversation with a person.
Yeah.
I have friends who are like, no, I can't do Zoom. I can't be stuck at home all day. I need to I only do phone call. That's fine, whatever works for everybody. But for me, that's why I do Zoom, because it's we're actually talking, for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
And you can create really deep connections that way, and I have. And I'm just an experience of that, how much impact these amazing people have in my life without ever having met them in person.
Yeah. And that's cool. And then it allows them to go anywhere you want.
Yes. Yeah.
So really cool. Is this a new company that you're starting?
Yeah. So we've been in business for about a year now. My business partner, when I met her, she was offering her services as VA, and I had hired her to help me out with business things, and she was amazing. And then I said, I'm I need more help. I need help with this. She's like, oh, I can find you somebody for that. And then she did, and that person was amazing. And I'm like, oh, I can use even more. Just send me everybody. So I got so excited because it was bringing such a huge relief and impact to my life in such a short period of time that I'm like, how do I share this with everybody else that I know? Because everybody's going through the same challenges.
Yes.
So that's kind of, I pitched to her. I'm like, I like to be part of this, So we went into business a year ago now. And it's been a process of, figuring it out and trying different things. But the impact that we generate on people's lives, very often we hear from clients, I'm like, I can't live without my VA. Because for small business owners, as you know, a lot of us are solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, we're doing everything. And you have that one person that comes in and takes huge amount of your day-to-day list, you just like forever thankful. They're not perfect, and there's a lot like commitment between the two of you there in collaborations, but it makes such a huge impact such a short period of time. And when they have skill sets that you don't have, like I can't do it. Like if Kendra hadn't set up my, workflow and my like YouTube channel and this and like I can't do that. Yeah. So it's cool. I love that.
Really cool. And more people are becoming entrepreneurs.
Yes,
more
that's
people,
true.
which I love.
I love that. Yeah.
I feel like we need more of that.
Yes.
I don't think there's enough of that here in Canada. I think Canada is really lacking in entrepreneurship. I think it's lacking in enterprise, business. We need to have more competition.
That's true.
You travel around the world and there's lots of competition. And I like competition. I think competition is good. I think it motivates people. Like when I go travel to other places, I'm going off on a tangent here, but I go travel to places, you could be ordering a cup of coffee and they will give you the best service ever.
That is
it's
true.
like as if you are like their number one client. They're number one, everything, all is on you. And you come here to Canada and we have below par everything.
True.
So I'm like, why is that? I think there's just not enough competition. There's just not enough drive. Yes. We need more. And I feel like I see young people right now are becoming so savvy. I know I have conversations with some people, they're like, oh, young people are so lazy. They just want a video game. They just want to be a YouTuber or an influencer. And I'm like, in my view, I think it's cool. And like, you can be 22 years old and already be a millionaire because you can do everything online. You can go and use other people's skill sets to optimize yourself. You can travel around the world and people pay you for that. Like there is so much more really cool things that we didn't get.
I know.
And I think that is amazing.
I love
it.
I agree. Yeah.
I'm like, why not? What is wrong with being a travel influencer? What is the problem with that? I think it's great. If I had a job like that, I'd be
happy. Yes. So many things, like as you're talking, like one is the power of technology. Part of what my mandate is with Turnkey is how can we leverage every technology? I can't be the one finding or using it, don't get me wrong. But who knows about AI technology? Let's leverage it all. Like how do we grow a company? I recently watched the beginnings of Pixar. There's a documentary on Disney. Have you seen that one?
I have not.
So as you can see, I watch TV.
I'm like, have you seen it?
You're like, no.
Because you have a VA.
No. Okay, I'm gonna send you some stuff to watch.
Okay.
It's like they gave their like sweat, blood, and tears like to create Pixar because they were creating a new technology on how to create animation. So they were really spearheading that. Anyways, but I'm like, I don't have that kind of time, or more specifically, I don't want to put in that kind of stuff. Like the guys sleeping in the office, they're like working 24/7. They lived in the office for 3 years. I'm like, that doesn't sound appealing to me at all. I'm like, how do I
expedite this?
Yes. How do I collapse time? How do I get more done with less time too? Like the 20%, where's my 20% going? So, because at the end of the day, I want to pick up my kids at school and have some time to like hang out with them and cook a meal. Like, for me to be a successful business owner, does that mean that I have to work like 20 hours a day or whatever it is and live in like this constant, like, I don't want to believe that. If I believe that, that's how I'm going to live. If I choose to believe that there's a different way, then I'm hoping I'm going to experience that. And that's kind of the whole mandate is how do I get more by doing less, and leveraging technology is a huge piece of that.
Huge.
You know, there's no, like, I tell my team, like, how do we automate everything in 3 steps? And give me a process. And I just challenge myself. We can't, it's not always possible, but that's the challenge we give ourselves. Like, what can we leverage that we can make this super efficient, super like, you know, solid, automated. There's not a lot of man hours that go into building a big portfolio or whatever it is that we're trying to achieve, right?
Yeah, I see what you mean. I think there's like very contradictory thoughts processes on growing, scaling, because if you remember, like back in the day, 10 years ago, if you went on YouTube and started like really looking into it, it was always about putting 20-hour days, barely sleeping. You're the last one to leave the office and you're the first one to get there. It was all like about like hustle and like being super obsessed, and just a workaholic in general. I've heard like Dan Pena, who would be like, I didn't go to any of my children's soccer games or their site recitals because I was busy creating this massive business, and Donald Trump probably did the same. So there was always that kind of notion that you had to be this constant obsessive, but then at the same time, you go and read something like Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, and it's all about you're not supposed to be the person that does everything. You're not supposed to be the know-it-all. It's really about leveraging other people and surrounding yourself in a circle where all of those people are the key people that are going to take you to the next level. It's about them. And so if you ever heard me speak on stage, I've taken that book to the maximum. Literally, I even say it on stage. I say, I am the least intelligent person in my team, and it's by design. It's on purpose. Because the whole thing is that I'm not supposed to be the engineer. I'm not the architect. I'm not the, I'm not the planner.
You have
I'm
your
not
role.
the lawyer. But I find the right people. I think that has let me become a lot more successful in the business, and being able to see other people's attributes, the skill sets, the things that they're really good at, the things that they're passionate about. I'm really good at finding those things that they're really good at and giving them those things, and they love it. They feel excited because they know that what they're doing is creating the whole circle, the whole entire thing, and they feel like they're part of it. So remember, we were talking about purpose. Sometimes purpose doesn't mean that you have to go and create this massive business and this massive vision. I know I talk about like generations and generations and like legacy, but not everybody wants to think that way or needs to think that way. Some people are like, whatever it is that I'm doing is just it's a piece of the puzzle that is creating this massive thing. For some people, that is so amazing and makes them so passionate about it. So it's like at all different levels, it's just finding those key people. So I feel like there's that whole other like work like a crazy workaholic, or surround yourself with the right people and leverage their skill sets, which is I think what you're going with and I'm going with, and it kind of gives us more of a balanced life. Kind of. Although I don't think there really is a balance.
I feel like there's ups and downs, if anything. That was the purpose of Turnkey, was when I found the right people that were making such a big impact. I'm like, I need more of this, and how do I share it with the world? Like, it's just like, we're the people component of your business. When your business is not large enough to like have lots of full-time employees, or you don't really have the skill sets of hiring yet, we can help with that. So it's really like, how do we bring the right people, the right matches for your business? And like, I'm experiencing that. All my VAs are from Turnkey. Like, I have social media, I have portfolio admins, I have like bookkeepers, I have finance, fractional CFO, like all these different people. And I'm like, I don't know any of this. How do I get really good at hiring? And this is what like going towards like a staffing agency and like a virtual agency specifically in this case has allowed me to like double down on and explore.
I love it. So you might already have this whole, looks like you have it, like this passion for something that you're like,
I'm passionate about many things. And that's the thing. As I was going through the process, I felt like I was giving birth, like talking to my business partner about purchasing part of the business and like dreaming it up, and like it's just like like there's such a huge level of excitement that comes through, and then something happens, a baby is born, or like like a project is born, an idea is born, like all these things. I just don't know that, I guess where the conversation with purpose is, I don't know that that's something that you have it and then you have it forever. It's like, this is the one, like, I feel like in my life at least, it comes like, okay, here's the thing, here's amazing, and then like I evolve. And then there's a new thing, a different thing, maybe bigger, maybe smaller, maybe it doesn't matter like which direction, but there's like a new thing. Yeah. And then same thing, the experience, I'm like, this is amazing. And then, okay, awesome, I've evolved again. Now there's another new thing here. And I find that's what's exciting about life too. We were talking about not liking repetitive things in the same way. So I love it. I love that there's like different things for you to do and try and explore and expand,
I think that's what it's about. You have to, like, you have a vision, and you're going towards that vision, creating it and making it into a personality. Like, it has a feeling, it has a thing, it has a name to it. Yeah. Like you were saying, like, it does. Yeah, it's like, this is it. And then, just like the baby, it's supposed to grow and it's supposed to change, and it has its own personality. Yes. And then by then, what ends up happening is you're growing also, and your thoughts, your ideas, what you've learned in the past, you're going to implement better later, in the next one and the next one and the next one. And that is the whole purpose of growing, because if you're not growing, then you're just going to be miserable, and that's not the point of life. But it's knowing too as well, like we were talking about this, when you grow, knowing that sometimes you outgrow things. You really do outgrow things, but people for some reason like they feel it inside. They'll feel, okay, this is starting to get mundane for me, like I told you, I can't do it anymore. But they keep doing it because it becomes, like, I guess, a responsibility, or becomes something that you habits. But then at some point it's like, why not recognize it? And it's literally your intuition or your inner voice telling you it's time to move on. Go move on and do something else. Like, it's time to go. And I like doing that. I think it's great. Some people might feel sad about it, like, oh, I'm losing this part of me, or I'm losing this thing that I've worked so hard for. I don't see it that way. I feel like growing is a great thing. I actually feel excited about it. I'm like, this is amazing. I've gone through enough growth in this space that I know it's time for me to move on. And I think that's a beautiful way. It's all about how you think about things.
Yes, I feel the same way. Growth is one of my values, like, that I hold dear, because I feel the same way. I love growing. There's nothing else to me that's more exciting and interesting. But it is scary. Yeah. At the end of the day, and you're like, I don't know why people don't do it. I'm like, because it's scary. Like, you have to let go of everything that you know and evolve. I used the word evolve earlier, like evolve into a new version of yourself that nobody has met before. I remember, like, after when I started my self-development journey, I changed, like, significantly. I've evolved. I was a new person. And I remember having this really interesting conversation with my husband at a time. We were having an argument about something, and ultimately he said, like, it feels like you're wearing a mask, or like you're faking it, or showing a specific side of you to other people, but kind of like, I know you, right? That's kind of where he was coming from. I'm like, you don't even know me anymore. Like, I'm not that person that the same person that I was 15 years ago when we got married. I'm a new person. And it's up to you to kind of, I want to, like, you to get to know me now, but, like, I need you to take away any preconceived ideas of who you think I was. Because I'm a new person. There's no other way of saying it. Right. But I had to have that awareness, and I had to be able to communicate it to him. And then when I said that, he was like, oh. And it was clarity for him to be like, okay, I see what you're saying now. Right. So I don't know where I was going with that. I feel like I went on a tangent. Growth, yes, thank you. So, it's exciting, but it's scary, and it's it does mean letting go of the past. Like whatever is behind, it's kind of like old news. Nothing wrong with it. There's its place in your, history and who you are today. But it is kind of old news.
It is. It is scary. Yeah. Growth is scary for sure. And so, like you just said, you outgrow people.
Yes.
And sometimes it's people that you don't want to outgrow.
I know.
But that is kind of the part of it. Hopefully, they'll grow with you. I guess if it's the right person, they'll grow with you. But doesn't always happen, and that's okay too. Eventually, it's okay. Yeah. That's the thing, But it's hard to say that to somebody that's going through something like that. Like it's a very difficult thing to say, but. As a mom, like you're always telling your kids it's okay. Yes. You'll be fine. Even though inside you're like, what's going on? Like it's scary. Entrepreneurship is scary. Yes. Going after a vision is scary. Growing your team is scary. Yeah. Going back to the office is scary. Like I feel like everything could be scary. Yeah. Like I'll give you an example. My cousin, she's getting married in Playa del Carmen, like Cancun, Mexico, next year. And she sent us all invitations. My first thought was, oh my God, I can't wait. It's be like a family reunion. Like we're all going. And then my sister's response is like, oh, but Mexico is so scary there. It's bad. It's and then that thought ended up intoxicating the whole family, basically, because then everybody was like, oh my God. And now my dad's sending me messages like, hey, look, there's a travel ban on Mexico right now, or he sends me news from Mexico about things that are happening there and all this stuff. And I'm like,
building this momentum, right?
So the last thing, my sister sends me a message, and this is just yesterday, and she's like, I want to go, I just wish it wasn't so scary. And my response was like, stop thinking of the worst case and just scaring yourself out of it, out of the whole thing. I still haven't heard a response, but that's my thing, because we end up talking to ourselves out of something just because it's scary. I know my example was a little funny when we were talking about business and stuff, but it really is.
To your point, that replicates in any situation in your life.
Yeah, it's like she's already anticipating the worst case scenario, and I know as humans that is our nature. You're going to think of the worst case scenario because it's that flight, or, right?
Flight or fight response.
Exactly,
right?
where it's integrated in us, right? So it's like, what could be the worst case? Well, I could die.
I had this exact conversation with my mom this morning, like exact conversation about that for the same reason. I'm like, because it's just some old beliefs. Like she says something like, oh, we need to like pray over your health because there may be people that are like, just culturally, there are things there in her religious background. There may be somebody that's like giving you a dirty eye and like whatever,
bad
things like that.
Bad thoughts. Yeah.
So she's like, let's do like some protection prayers and things like that. And I'm like, in the conversation I've had with her in the past, I'm like, I choose not to believe that. I choose not to think that way. That there's somebody out there wishing me, evil or harm. Even if there is, I wish to believe that they have no power over me. So like it's however you choose to think of something, like and then it led to this whole conversation about the power of your thoughts,
right?
The power of your words. And that's why when you're like, hey, I'm making some changes, I'm like, congratulations, because it does take a lot of self-awareness, a lot of believing in yourself, but you've done it over and over and over again.
Yes.
You know the pathway, you feel it. You're like, I know already, I know it within me, I've been here before.
Yeah.
I know the signs that I need to move on. I know what's going to lead me to. I know the growth I'm going to experience afterwards because you've done it so many times. Because I feel the same way. I'm like, I know something. I was just telling you, I know something is coming.
Yes.
I don't have the exact thing just yet. I just know it. I know it's here. I know it's palpable. I know it's like just near and it's coming. And I know it's just going to be like, oh my gosh, yes. This was it. I knew it. And so I feel I'm getting ready for something exciting as well.
That's good. That's amazing. It's really nice to feel like you're looking forward to something. That's the best thing to do, is always to look forward to something. You know, like a lot of people spend day in and day out doing the regular day in and day out thing, but you always have to have something to look forward to, kind of like that purpose aspect of it. It's like, do you have to always have something to look forward to? And that brings a lot of happiness, you know, for people.
I think the hand, that's the only like purpose that I can put behind what happened to my hand, is that it was like a pattern interrupt. Because I feel like when we're busy and we're doing our things, we do get into habits and routines, and that goes for habits of thoughts and habits of like day to day. I'm like, okay, I'm a really positive person, so even though I'm like, okay, this thing, okay, it's gonna work, I'm gonna show up better at it, and, you know, all these things, which is good. But sometimes, you know, you just have to do something very different. And you like, how do you get out of that pattern when you're in it on your day-to-day routine? You need things that will pattern interrupt, get you out of your environment, out of your routine, enough for you to be like, oh, and this is why I love traveling. Enough for you to be like, okay, wait, there's something new here. Let me like slow down and absorb something different.
Yeah. This is actually exactly like you saying this is exactly the reason why I was telling you earlier that like I'm throwing away that 80%. Like because if I can go on for months and months and months deep in something. Like I don't know if you feel this way sometimes, I have a very obsessive behavior. Like it is the most weird, but my whole team, everybody knows it, my whole family knows it. When I get into something that I'm so excited about, it literally absorbs all of me. Like that becomes all of me. That's all I think about. I dream about it. When I'm driving, I'm thinking of ideas. When I'm taking a shower, all this kind of stuff, it literally absorbs my entire being. And sometimes even my husband will be like, hello, are you listening to me? I'm right here, I'm right in front of you. And I'm like, oh yeah, so sorry, because my brain just ends up going. But also realizing that, okay, I've been, like you said, solo entrepreneur, doing absolutely everything, can't sustain it anymore. It's literally not sustainable. So like what you're doing with your new business there, it makes so much sense, because I feel like a lot of people are in my space right now where I'm like, I can't do this anymore. It's not sustainable. And I want to do more of that. You have to get yourself out of the environment to work on the business, you know, go and do it. I'm very good at like being up here and seeing the vision, and I can explain that vision clearly to you, and that can make you excited about it, just as excited as I am.
You're like a textbook visionary.
Like I have a really good energy that way.
It's crazy.
But
people are like, where do I sign? You said
this.
I'm like, you just want to sign the line somewhere.
Yeah, but then what ends up happening, of course, is I'm like, oh, I need to send this out. I need to do that. I need to do that.
And then I implement all of it.
Yeah, like it's like, okay, so that's what I'm like, that 80% that I've been doing. I'm gonna talk to you about your business.
See, that was my vision for it. I'm like, I need an arm that's gonna like do the day-to-day, because we're in the same role. Like I'm visionary, I'm a creator, I'm high level, I can sell. Like I get excited about things. Like I can bring people together. I can do so many of these things. It's the day-to-day and the overly detailed and the process and the repetition. And I'm like, no, I can't. That's not me. So I'm like, that's what I imagine in turnkey. I'm like, I just need like an army of like talented, amazing people that are just gonna raise my business up. Like that was like the vision for it that I had. And I'm like, then I can have as many businesses as I want, because they already know how to do everything. So awesome.
That's perfect. I really love that concept. Congrats. I think that's an amazing concept. I think a lot of people are needing it right now. Yes. And if you provide them a turnkey, I love the name, by the way, turnkey solution to like their 80%, like literally turnkey solution for the 80%, you focus on that 20. That is the whole the whole thing that every business owner, entrepreneur needs at some point.
Part of our slogan that we were playing with was your vision, our people, right? Like you're setting the tone, you're envisioning, you're doing what you need to do best, and we take care of the rest, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what I need. I'm just like taking what I need for my life and, you know, hoping to share that. I do want to circle back on a question. You know, we've been talking and I'm watching the snow. I want to make sure you can drive safely.
Yes, I'm going to have to definitely get going soon, 2:30. And your kids are probably coming home soon.
Stay as long as you want to. Just be mindful.
We'll just sleep on the couch.
Yes! We have a bed upstairs.
There you go.
You can sleep with me. I'll kick Anton off the bed. You can sleep with me. How about that?
Poor hubby. He's like, oh.
Just joking, babes. I guess I'm curious about your process of creation or where you got to, like, for your, let's talk about your development very specifically, because you're like, this is the vision, and you gave me like, this is what, can you repeat, like, it was for the 3 words that you used to describe the vision for your development?
So our development, so we are using this project is like our pilot project, and it's a vision that I've had, and I've been creating it in my head for many years. Like I literally created this whole opportunity.
Okay, sorry, I'm just going to interrupt you because that's kind of what I want to talk about, like the building of the vision. Did it all click when you saw the property and you like, oh, and then you were able to quickly put it together, or did you have it really together before and then you went looking for the property? I just kind of want to understand a bit of that process there.
It's been an evolution.
Sure.
For sure. Like it's the property came after the vision.
Okay.
So it's been the vision that I've had for community building has been a progression of myself, like through the land development space, learning about what brings value to people, creating design, and creating spaces where people can become the best versions of themselves. So that is something that just naturally came as part of the progression, like the last 10 years that I've been working on development, going from one project to the next, to the next, to the next. That's been an evolution of it all, but also growing as a person. I'm definitely a different person today than I was 10 years ago. Yes. So my values, what I hold like very highly on my rating scale is very different than what it was back then as well. So it's a bit of everything. Becoming a mom throughout that whole process too. Of course, that changes you and your outlook in generations to come. Maybe if you don't have children, you wouldn't even think that
of the next generation
and their generation. Like it is like that's probably things that, you know, has a big influence on who I am now and what I'm thinking about. So it's definitely been an evolution. And then it really all got started with kind of like teaching others, being on stage, teaching others and seeing what other people are craving and understanding where people are suffering the most. Like I mentioned to you earlier that a lot of people come to me and they tell me their whole life story because they see what I'm doing and they're like, I love the energy that you give and I love the passion, and they're craving something like that, which is kind of got us on that whole purpose discussion. And then that feeling like, hey, it clicked to me one day that I was like, as a developer, as a person who can take literally a blank canvas, that's what we work with. I consider myself almost like an artiste because you're taking a blank canvas. That's actually what you're doing. Yes. And you are creating something from scratch. And so to be able to be in that position, not a lot of people are in that position, then it really got me thinking, here are some people that are telling me I want purpose. I want more connection. I want my children to grow into an area that is going to make them better people. I want safety. I want this. So I was like, I want all those things too. And then it got me thinking about my childhood, and it got me thinking about how I grew up. And I was like, oh my gosh. And the more I started to vocalize those ideas, the more and more people were like, I love that. And the more and more people that were like, I want to be part of that. How can I be part of that? Because if you put something like that together, I would really, really want to be part of it. And then that just fueled my whole entire being. And again, obsession, literally it consumes every part of me. And it's been something that's been just coming inside of me for a couple of years now, of just going through the progression. Then we ended up getting our first subdivision back in 2021. And that, again, it began to really feel, it began to really feel that vision, that idea. And we started implementing a lot of those things in that subdivision and the design of how we wanted to go into it. But even that one was a 90-acre property. It actually still felt too small. Like, it needed to have more of an impact. So I think I literally manifested this whole opportunity to come to me because I'm obsessed about it. And then it just came to me and I was like, it's perfect. It fits exactly what I've been looking for. Every single one, actually, it's so weird. Like, every project that I've had, it's come to me, usually directly from the seller or somebody that has connected me, or they find me somehow, some way, people find me and they give me these amazing opportunities. And I'm like, I see it. I love it. And then when I saw this, I was like, bing! It was like a no-brainer to me. I'm like, this is exactly what I need to create the vision that I'm looking for. That's why I'm saying, you know, when you told me, you're like, I can feel it. I'm right there. It is something that is like just about to push me over the pivot line. It's that. And when you're there, that's just the most exciting place to be.
Again, the baby's born. You're like, oh my God, it's here. Like, you've been like waiting, like, you know, expecting and dreaming it up, and like all these different pieces that were coming together to bring it all together. It's so, I love that, the creation process. It's so exciting. So
it's really cool. That's really it. Had I not been doing everything else prior to that, this vision probably would have never happened. This probably would have never popped up in front of me. Who knows? I have no idea.
100%.
It's just like that. And then now it's just become a life. Like, it literally has its own personality, its own ideas. It has a name. It's called Urban Edge.
Oh, I love that.
Yes, and it's
I'm gonna call you to name my things.
You know what? My team actually named it, and I thought this is perfect.
Team effort is good.
So that's how it all happened. It's just
very
like
exciting.
That. It's interesting to think, like, how did you get here? You would have never.
You don't
imagined.
like stop to think about it. It's why I like asking questions.
Mm-hmm.
I love when I'm asking questions. People are like, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Or I love seeing people's expression when they pause and they're like, huh. Like, self-awareness is so important. Again, like another value that I have. And through the process of conversation, you gain so much awareness. Because you're like, wouldn't be like, you're not asking yourself these questions, right? When you're talking to somebody and they're taking the time to like get to know you, helps you uncover yourself. Because you're like, like, okay, like this is just solidifying like what I know deep inside, but haven't been able to like voice it out. Yeah,
I agree. It's definitely good to have this kind of thing. I find like with my husband, like I do a lot of that. It is so good
asking
to have
questions.
We're just talking, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I actually didn't think about that. You know, or I'm saying something and I'm like, oh, I think that's how that happened, or this or that. And it's so nice to have a partner that you can bounce ideas with, that wants to be part of the vision, wants to grow together in the same way. I know not everybody gets that. It's huge, because I know one thing. Oh gosh, I wouldn't be able to do any of this without him. It's like impossible.
What's the, like, because you're clearly the visionary, where do you think, like, does he have a similar, like, personality and role?
Yes. Now.
Okay.
Now, it wasn't always the case, for sure. So when I started the company just on my own, like literally, like you said, just figuring things out and having that feeling like I know I have an idea for something and it's just making it into real life. So that took multiple years. That wasn't something that just happened, right? Usually doesn't happen like that. So that took a while, but it was always like something that I was doing. And then eventually it became big enough that it actually felt like a company. It actually felt like a business and not just something that you're just working on.
Sure.
You know what I mean? At some point...
Not just a job, right? Like it's a business.
Yes. At some point, I think anybody who's ever created a business it starts off feeling like, I don't know where this is going. This is just an idea. It's just even how you talk to other people about it. Like, oh, I'm just, doing real estate, or I'm just bought a property here. That's usually the conversation that begins. Eventually, if you work hard enough on it and then it ends up happening and then you create it into something, then that becomes a real life thing. And it's like, it's not me being in real estate. I have a business. I have a land development business. And you realize that at some point, I don't know when that was exactly, but at some point you realize like, oh, this is an actual business that we're running and we actually make money out of. And we fuel our next ones from that. Yes. Eventually, I retired Dave. So my husband, I retired him. It's been about...
He's 9 to 5?
Yeah. So I think it's been about just over 2 years now. So he's been retired because it also got to a point where he was managing all of the properties, like physically managing, anything like the broke or anything like that. He's very handy, so he's taking care of that. Normally the guy takes on that role if they're very handy.
Yes.
And he took that role, but he always has his 9 to 5, and then eventually it just got so big that it just didn't make sense for him to be in a 9 to 5. And then when we started looking into it, he's like, I'm pretty sure I could quit my job right now. And then I was like, yes, you could, definitely. And I thought it was just like a kitchen talk that we were having.
Next day,
like I thought he was just like, I think when you're having those talks with your husband or your wife, like it's like, oh yeah, I think now. And you're like, yeah, honey, I'm pretty sure, yeah, for sure, it makes some totally could. Not knowing that literally the very next day he was gonna go into work and be like, I'm out of here. And I was like, and then he calls me. Did I ever tell you this story? And then he calls me, it's like lunchtime, and I'm like, hey babe. He's like, I did it. I'm like, you did what? And he's like, I quit my job. And I'm like, what? I didn't know you were doing that. He's like, yeah, we talked about it yesterday. I'm like, that's not at all what we talked about.
He took out of the conversation when he needed to.
He obviously had it already, he already knew he was going to do it. It was a plan. I just didn't know there was a plan. But it actually came at a good time. Yeah. It actually came at a really good time because we needed him to really be focused. And then he created from there, he took on that role. He took that role and just maximized it. He optimized it. He was like, I need this kind of person here. I need that kind of person. And he has his own crew. He's got his own people.
Amazing.
And he's still, doing a lot of day-to-day, which even today we were talking about, like, what is your 80%? You need to start getting rid of your 80%. So he's still working at it, of course, but that's what ended up happening. So I think it's so, it's such a blessing to be in a position where in reality, when I started building up this whole idea of going and doing my own business and doing this, he took on a huge part of the role in raising the children, literally the home stuff, picking them up. I don't know if I ever mentioned this to you, I had a brick and mortar, I had an actual boutique shop at some point. I had an office and all that. So, and I was working nonstop, it was in and out every single day. Some days it'd be 2 a.m. and I was still in there doing some stuff. It was just bananas.
Wow. Was this a development business or a different business?
It was
development.
Yeah, it was a full on acquisitions, design, build business. So and that took a lot. And our children were a lot smaller then, so it came full circle. There's no way I could have done any of that And this was prior to COVID time. You know, it's funny how we talk about pre-COVID, post-COVID now.
Yeah.
It's like the Noah's Ark.
Jesus came in.
Yeah. So, anyways,
before COVID, BC. Sorry.
Exactly.
Before
before COVID. It's crazy to think, huh? But yeah, there's no way I could have done that. But where I was going with that is that he took a lot of that role. When the boys were like babies, he was traveling a lot. So I was like, I would joke and I was like, I'm like a single mom for the next 3 months, you know, because he would be gone for a month and a half, come back for a week, leave again for another month and a half. We did that when the boys were babies. And then they got a little bit bigger and then the roles switched. He was the one at home with them and I'm the one just gone. So it's tough, like doing that. I think it was more tougher on us to do it than the children because they're so little, they don't even understand it, you know. No. But anyways, but it's so nice to have that role. And then he saw it, he saw the vision, he sees how passionate I am for it. And then he just came on. Like it was like a natural progression. And then he came on as part of it and he took a huge role, which is a very important role. And he's just taking it on, doing it all himself, and he loves it. And then being like, you go and be the CEO, be the president that you need to be for this company, and we will all be there to support you. And that's what he is. That is exactly what he is. It's so neat to have that kind of support from someone.
I love that. I can relate to your story quite a bit with how it happened in my family as well. I started traveling with Keysfire when the kids Alex was 1.5. I was gone like 3 weekends a month, you know, usually, and we'd be gone up to 4 days at a time because we had to fly somewhere if we're going to BC or somewhere far away. And Anton was there, my mom. I've been telling about my mom. They were like watching the kids, both of them. And he still does, like huge, because I'm the one that travels a lot, if anything, and traveled for many years. Right. And he's always like held down the fort at home with the kids. And there's been switching because when the kids were first born, maternity leave wise, he used to work all the time. He was gone weekends, evenings, like just working. So there's been a switch back and forth that has happened for us too. He's a business owner too though, but he's like huge support. And what's your like view of like motherhood and being like the business women and like, you know, front runners that we are, and how that impacts like motherhood in general?
I feel like I've had fun with it. I don't know. It hasn't. I guess at the beginning, yeah, it's definitely been a shift. Like at the beginning, I maybe felt a little bit more bad about it for not being around, but that pretty much quickly shifted. It didn't take much long for me to shift that like idea, because right now, like now, my boys are 11 and 8, and they've been there the whole time, seeing everything, and they own it. Like they're also just as in it as we are, and they're like it's an automatic. Like kids, I feel like they just go with the flow.
Yes.
Or yes. I think most kids do. Mine do. So it's like, okay, mommy's going. She's going. Like I'm here right now. I'm in Toronto. I'm here with you, physically here. I'm away for 3 days. And I'm like, Mom, I'm gonna go for 3 days and I'll be back. And they're like, okay, have fun, you know, and they know what I do, and they're just part of it. Whenever there's the opportunity to bring them, we bring them. I bring them. Not every time, because of course they've got school, they've got things. Yes. But whenever we can, we bring them. Like you see me bring my boys. And they love it. Kids love traveling.
Oh yeah, they love it.
So then I bring them. Whenever, one thing we do every morning is I literally talk to them like they are board of directors. Like we're like, okay, so I'm always like, what's going on today?
Yes.
Every morning, I'm like, okay, so if I have something special, something really big, something important, like maybe we have an investor meeting, or like something important is coming, or we have a meeting with the city, or we have a meeting with the architect and they're going to give us the new renders or the new design or whatever it is. I always tell them, like, I'm so excited because we're going to be doing this and we're going to do that. And then I'm like, what are you doing today? And they're like, oh, we're doing this and I have to do that. I'm like, okay, great. And then when they come home from school, they're usually like, how did that call go?
Aww.
What ended up happening? And I tell them, I'm like, this is what happened and that's what happened and this. So they know exactly what is going on at all times. And I don't know, I feel like it's a really good, we have a really good feel for the house, for what we do, and they respect that a lot. So it really works out. I mean, I'm very open with them, so I don't feel it even almost to a point where it's like maybe I should feel it, but I don't feel it at all.
And my question did not, like, I didn't mean to make it like,
oh no,
you
no.
know. Because I'm just curious, and obviously again we're in such similar roles, like the kind of like how he functions in your house, and bad or good. I mean, I do prefer the way we live. Obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be living it this way. But like giving them, the kids, the power. My daughter spoke at a crew event a couple months back.
Amazing.
And that was from like, she went to see me speaking, like at an event. I want to bring her to expand when I'm on stage, right? Like I want them to experience. You do the same for your boys. They're around, they see what you're doing, they see you speaking, they see you like out there, and like it's so impactful, right? For them to see that. And then she was like, I want to speak too. I'm like, okay, let's see what we can arrange here. And then she went and spoke, and like what a huge like opportunity one is for her to, I think, like experience things like this, and then also have the opportunity to like it was her choice. She decided, she followed up on it many times. She like decided what she wanted to talk about. She did, like, it was coming from her, and just being able to encourage that natural so cool. like inclination that she had.
That has a lot to do with you, like
I know.
Just or seeing you there, and they go with the flow.
Yeah.
Like they learn.
They're sponges, right? They're observing how we view life, how we deal with problems, what kind of, like we were talking about, like attitude and thought processes. How do you stay positive? They're watching you deal with struggles and hardships and marriage, like
everything,
all of it. They really were their example of what life looks like. And the best job that I feel like I can do as a mom is take care of myself the best that I can. Because if I'm at my best, then I'm modeling the best that I can possibly model for them, mentally, physically, professionally, relationship wise, all of it. Yeah,
it's so true. And I feel like that's a good balance. It's a really good balance. I personally see my boys have so much respect for me and what I do, and I don't know how really it all came about or how that happened, but it's so nice for them to be like, yeah, mommy's doing this and mommy's doing that. And I love the feeling that they respect a woman that has a vision, that has a lot of drive, and they respect it. And I think it's a good feeling to be that kind of role model for them, for their future, to respect women and see women for the value. It's huge. And even Dave, my husband, to be that part of everything, doing all of us together. Not saying that it's perfect flowers every day, but just them seeing us doing it together as a unit is also a good example too. Like, you never know how you can impact them, but I think it's good. And I think acknowledging that there's no balance. I've come to the realization that I don't think there's any balance. You're either putting all of your effort into something and then something else is dropping behind.
Yes.
But I think that's okay. Yeah. I think that's okay. I feel like it's actually a good thing.
That's how it's meant to be. It's not meant to be like perfectly. There's no growth in that.
No.
Yeah.
I feel like that notion of like balanced life, or how do you balance your life? I'm like, I don't know if I balance my life. I just do life and just do what I need to do.
Yes.
But that's it. It's just about that.
I agree with that. Definitely moments where it's been busier in this direction, and then there's moments that I'm like here, and so.
Yeah. Awesome.
I have one last question for you that I end all my podcasts with.
Okay.
And yes. So the question is, if you had the world's attention for 30 seconds, what message would you share with everybody?
Ooh, 30 seconds. What message would I share? I feel like I could say a million things. I'm just trying to figure out what's that one thing.
I know.
Just thinking about being intentional, like actually trying to, maybe this goes a little bit back to purpose. Just try to like enjoy life intentionally more. I feel like we get into this space where we're like, go, or you're wanting, especially for a business owner or somebody trying to get into entrepreneurship and trying to try something new. It can get so scary and overwhelming, but what if you just intentionally try to be more fun? Just have fun with it. I feel like this is one thing I always tell my team. Everybody knows this about me. I'm like, I like fun. I feel like life is short and we need to have fun.
Yes.
At all levels, with our kids, with our spouses, with our friends, with ourselves. I think we need to have fun and just enjoy. Like I feel like if we just intentionally think, how can I have fun today? How can I just really enjoy this thing, no matter how scary it is, no matter what's going on? It helps. It really, really helps. And like day to day, right? You're just going about your day.
Yes.
Some people are so wound up. Some people are so scared. Some people are just blah, have no purpose, have nothing going on. And those are the people that will find every little thing to complain about, or every little thing to be like, oh, I hate this, or I hate that, or they see the worst in people just because they're like, that person annoys me, or that this or that. I think when I hear those kind of messages, I'm like, you don't have enough going on in your life. You really don't have enough going on in your life, and you're probably not having enough fun in your life if you are in that state of mind. So long story to say that I would just say, have more fun. Just literally have more fun.
Have fun.
Have fun, guys. Just enjoy life. Have fun.
Yeah. Thanks, Carina. This was so fun.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming.
So nice to be here with you.